Coming up on News Live at 6, just 1 week ago, the Mayflower Hotel announced its closure. What residents can expect next?
Plus, another store is closing in Destiny, USA. How it will affect shoppers.
And a case of chronic waste disease was found in upstate New York. News Live at 6 starts right now.
This is CitrusTV News Live at 6, your campus news leader.
Hotels are shutting down left and right in Syracuse. Thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Lauren Holdmeyer.
And I'm Kaitlin Campbell. Last week, a third hotel announced it will be closing its doors early next month. Our Jude Baserman has more on what community members can expect with all these closures. Jude, what's going on?
Good evening, Lauren and Kaitlin. Yeah, the Mayflower Hotel, its last day will be open is November 11th, but it isn't the only hotel closing in the city of Syracuse. Both the Crown Plaza and the Sheraton shut its doors earlier this year. And what these three hotels have in common is that they're all becoming or have become student housing or apartments. And while many feel that the city of Syracuse is to blame for all these closures, that might not exactly be the case.
I think each one's on case by case. It's certainly not because Syracuse as a city is underperforming, because we are not. Tourism is at historic levels.
The more tourism and less hotel rooms for visitors will have a significant impact on room rates in Syracuse.
It's basic economics. The demand is up, the supply is down, so the price will go up, no question about it. Again, I think it's short-term pain for long-term gain.
And that long-term gain that Leitka is referring to is the reconstruction of I-81. He expects more hotels to open up in the near future, both because the city will improve because of the project and because that there will be more room for hotels and more demand as well once the project is completed. And for the meantime, though, there's going to be more than 600 hotel rooms that won't be available for consumers, more than 20% of its current stock. Lauren, Kaitlin, back to you guys.
Jude, thank you so much for that update. Syracuse University PhD candidate has been awarded the Harry Frank Guggenheim Foundation Emerging Scholars Award. Ian Glasman-Skillinger is a professor and researcher at the Maxwell School. He is one of 11 doctoral candidates to receive this award. It funds students $25,000 for their research about serious violence on the global scale and how citizens react to brutality.
Syracuse University Student Association announced the proposal of a new bill that urges U.S. politicians to pass the DREAM Act. This act, known as the Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors, could provide legal protections for children of undocumented immigrants. The president of the association introduced the bill at last night's meeting, calling on local senators and representatives and SU's Ken Severud to recognize the importance of this bill. This bill will be voted on during next week's Monday meeting.
The Setner School of Music will be hosting a Haunted Krause concert tomorrow night. Just in time for Halloween, the Haunted concert will include a lineup of fan-favorite tunes and a variety of artists. Dressing up in costume is highly encouraged, as tomorrow is Halloween Eve. These performances will take place at Setner Auditorium inside Krause College, and there is no cost to enter.
The Departments of Languages, Literature, and Linguistics are hosting a Day of the Dead celebration tomorrow. The event will be held in the lobby of Huntington Beard Krause Hall from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The celebration is free and open to the SU community as in honor of Mexican and Latin cultures. Activities include cultural music, fun games, and a community altar, and even a mini art workshop.
Well, Kaitlin, speaking of Halloween coming up, we're actually supposed to be seeing pretty warm temperatures for Halloween this year, which is very unusual for upstate New York. You know, I feel like we're usually seeing cold, maybe even some snow around the end of October.
I know, I feel like with the weather today kind of turning into the rainy, typical fall weather, the idea of it being like in the 70s, I was told, could be crazy. But
it's unheard of.
But our Tyler Oldano has more on what we can expect. Tyler?
Thank you guys so much. Now, 57 degrees outside right now. It's raining. It was raining actually a little bit earlier, and honestly, it kind of snuck up on us today. It was rather overcast all day, and at the end of the afternoon, beginning of the afternoon, excuse me, it decided to started pouring a little bit. Thankfully, our rest of the night shouldn't be that bad in terms of rain. That should be going away rather soon. It's just going to be a bit overcast, and you can see around the region here, we're all seeing roughly similar temperatures. Rochester sitting at 58, Penn Yan at 55, all in those 50s, and pretty much high, just kind of decent weather right now for fall. Fall really is just in season. Now, Tonight, though, you're going to see those temperatures drop a slight amount, 56. Like I said, though, it's still going to be overcast in terms of the skies, so you don't really have to worry about the rain. It's going to be a very low chance. That's all I got for you guys right now. What's up for News Live at 6?
Thanks, Tyler. Well, a ceremony will be held tomorrow afternoon in Syracuse honoring Judge Langston C. McKinney. Judge McKinney was the first African-American to serve on the Syracuse City Court bench back in 1987. He graduated from the SU College of Law in 1971. Judge McKinney served for 3 consecutive 10-year terms, ending his time on the City Court bench in 2007. In honor of his legacy, the city will be naming a courtroom after him. Judge Deborah Karolounis spoke about Judge McKinney's strive to improve the Syracuse community.
He spent his whole life trying to use the tools that he had, the gifts that he had, the energy that he had, the passion that he had for to make our community better.
A Syracuse man has been sentenced to serve over 21 years in federal prison after being convicted on 10 counts of receipt of child pornography through social media. 31-year-old William Futrell pleaded guilty to using Snapchat to inappropriately communicate with minors across the country. Futrell would even offer to pay minors to entice them to send us explicit images, but there was no intention of ever paying them. Futrell will become a registered sex offender after his release while serving a 15-year term of post-incarceration supervised release.
A 14-year-old boy in Nova Scotia has been charged under Canadian law with offenses tied to multiple threatening calls. These were directed towards airports, hotels, a suicide hotline, and Bethlehem School near Albany. Town police received 6 phone threats targeted towards the schools in September, then 5 more in October. The teen was arrested on 4 charges and is in custody at a juvenile facility in Canada.
Newark Attorney General Letitia James has issued a consumer alert reminding businesses and online retailers to not sell realistic-looking toy guns. With Halloween coming up on Thursday, the reminder tells companies that toy guns sold in New York must be made in bright colors or entirely transparent, as the dangers of realistic toy guns can cause serious harm, said James. Retailers that illegally sell realistic-looking toy guns can be fined up to $1,000 per violation.
Community outreach took center stage at Syracuse University with the Interfaith Day of Service and Learning.
Volunteers came together to spread kindness and make a difference. CitrusTV's Cami Bremer has the story. Hi, Cami.
Thanks, Lauren and Kaitlin. I was there at the Interfaith Day of Service and Learning, where students and community members of different faiths and religions and backgrounds came together to share in the spirit of giving. This Sunday, Syracuse University's Interfaith Day of Service and Learning provided students and community members with a chance to give back. Participants gathered at Hendricks Chapel to create handmade cards, which will be sent out to children receiving treatment at local hospitals.
Well, I decided to come today because I really enjoy giving back to the community, and I figured what a better way to do this than to create cards for children in need.
The Day of Service focused on fostering unity and compassion, encouraging individuals from different religions and cultures to come together for a common cause. Organizers hope that the event would not only bring joy to hospitalized children, but also promote a greater sense of unity.
I definitely think giving back doesn't only benefit you, but others around you. I feel like bringing a smile to someone's day or making them feel loved goes beyond words, and it really shows that you have a bigger impact on your community.
A heartwarming effort to make a difference through service and learning. Events like this one showcase how even small gestures can make a big impact. Kaitlin and Lauren, back to you.
Thanks, Cami. Well, the Department of Environmental Conservation reported a confirmed case of chronic wasting disease in an upstate New York facility. The facility did not name or specify the number of species affected, but the DEC says it was, quote, an isolated detection during routine monitoring. CHR, chronic wasting disease, is a highly contagious and fatal brain disease found in deer species, but there are no suspected cases of the disease in wild deer. The state is now carrying out its interagency CWD response plan for further investigation. This is the first case since 2005. The
town of DeWitt is delaying its vote on a proposal reducing the household pet limit. The current number of licensed pets in a household is 5. The new law would reduce that number to just 3. Many community members have expressed their frustration with the proposal. The town board is pushing the vote on the proposal to a future meeting after the backlash from DeWitt locals.
And Milk-Bone Factory employees in Buffalo have gone on strike after the company rejected a new union contract. Employees say they have been working for weeks without a new contract, but negotiations for better pay and health care coverage have fell apart. Mechanics and electricians at the same plant went on strike last year.
Christmas is coming to New York City on November 9th. A 74-foot tall tree from Massachusetts will be this year's Rockefeller Christmas tree for the 2024 holiday season. Now, this is the first time a Rockefeller Christmas tree has come from the state of Massachusetts since 1959. Over 50,000 multicolored lights and a 900-pound tree topper go into decking the tree. The tree will be lit on the plaza on Wednesday, December 4th, and will remain up until mid-January.
Well, calling all shoppers, the Nordstrom Rack in Destiny, USA will be shutting down this winter. The store opened in October 2015 and is set to close its doors on February 1st, 2025, according to an announcement from the New York State Department of Labor Worker Adjustment and Restraining Notification. The reason of closure was, quote, expiration of lease, and 20 employees will be impacted by this closure.
Coming up on News Live at 6, Hezbollah has announced a new leader. We'll have the latest on this update.
And this morning, Steve Bannon was released from prison, what he said at a Manhattan press conference. All that and more after the break.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where the cats go on vacation? New York.
You're watching CitrusTV News live at 6 with Lauren Holdmeyer, Kaitlin Campbell, and Tyler Oldano. Now, your campus news leader continues.
He's Hitler. And then they say, he's a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm the opposite of a Nazi. I don't know.
Well, that's former President Trump responding to his former chief of staff John Kelly's claims that he is a fascist. With Election Day just a week away, more than 49 million Americans have voted early. Both candidates are making their final push to appeal to undecided voters in swing states.
Vice President Harris had a rally in Michigan last night with singers Bruce Springsteen, Beyonce, and former President Obama. Harris is heading back to Washington, D.C. to deliver her closing argument from the same spot where Trump held his January 6 rally. Trump is heading to Pennsylvania to hold back to rallies in a crucial swing state.
Investigators are still searching for the person who set ballot boxes on fire in Washington and Oregon. The incidents come as the U.S. Department of Homeland Security warns of heightened potential for targeting of election infrastructure during this year's election cycle.
Many of the ballots in Oregon were unaffected, but hundreds of ballots were destroyed just 15 miles away in Vancouver, Washington. The FBI says it is working with state and local authorities on the investigation.
Former White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon was released from prison this morning after serving a 4-month sentence for defying a subpoena from Congress's investigation on the January 6th Capitol attack. Bannon held a press conference earlier in Manhattan where he blamed Nancy Pelosi for his sentence and says his prison stay empowered him.
I am more empowered today, more focused today, sharper today, in better shape today than I've ever been in my entire life. So Nancy Pelosi, suck on that.
Bannon also returned to his podcast, Bannon's War Room, to express his support for former President Donald Trump in the presidential election.
And now the latest on the conflict in the Middle East. Hezbollah announced a new leader earlier today. Naim Qassem has been chosen to lead the Lebanese militant group after its longtime leader Hassan Nasrallah was killed in an Israeli airstrike last month.
The appointment comes as no surprise as Qassem served as Nasrallah's deputy for 32 years and has often been the face of the group. Hezbollah says that Qassem will continue Nasrallah's policies, quote, until victory is achieved.
A German-Iranian national and longtime U.S. resident is dead after being executed in Iran. Jamshid Sharmad was convicted of, quote, planning and orchestrating a series of terrorist acts, according to Iranian-run media outlets.
His 2020 arrest and subsequent trial has faced backlash from human rights groups and Western governments. Sharmad's daughter says her father is innocent and that he faced a sham trial due to his political activism and criticism of the Islamic Republic.
Coming up on News Live at 6, I'll have your 5-day forecast and a Halloween-themed quiz question. Don't turn away.
Dad, they took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
From the CitrusTV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Welcome back to News 11 at 6. I'm Tyler Oldano. Let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. Halloween's coming up on Thursday, so be prepared for that. 79 tomorrow, 60 is going to be the low. Thursday, big day, Halloween. I'm excited. I hope you guys are. But 58 is going to be the low and 81 the high. It's going to be a pretty warm Halloween. So make sure you keep that in mind whenever you get your costume ready. You have a lot more freedom to wear that coat over whatever you're wearing. And I know that could be a challenge to some. Friday and Saturday, and the days after, we're starting to see those temperatures cool down a little bit. 60, then 50, and 37 to 32 being the two lows. Sunday, we're going to get those clouds. There's not really any rain this week. It's mainly just going to be that kind of warm weather. They're kind of dipping into the colder ones going on. 43, excuse me, is going to be the low for that one. Now, I got a pop quiz for you guys. Hope you're ready.
We're ready, Tyler.
All right. Now, how much money is the U.S. expected to spend on Halloween costumes this year.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, you got A, 2.5 billion, B, 873 million, C, 500 million, and D, 4.1 billion. Clock's ticking. Get the Jeopardy music cue.
I'm gonna go D, 4.1 billion.
You know what? I'll go A, 2.5 million.
Differing answers. All right, the answer is right.
Oh.
$4.1 billion is going to be the total. Halloween is a big money spender, and coming up, of course, costumes are going to be, the big thing to spend your money on. And that's all we got for you guys on weather right now. What's coming up for the rest of News Live at 6?
Thank you so much, Tyler. Over 200,000 people have canceled their Washington Post subscriptions after Jeff Bezos refuses to endorse Kamala Harris. This decision comes after the editorial board had already drafted an endorsement memo for Harris.
The amount of cancellations make up 8% of the total subscriptions to the paper. These cancellations will not take effect immediately, but the number has continued to rise since yesterday afternoon. The topside reason being the timing with Election Day only being a week away. Well, now transitioning over into sports. Max, what's coming up?
Guys, it's funny. I feel like I'm on an episode of Sesame Street right now because weather was sponsored by the letter D, but sports is sponsored by the letter F. We've got the first women's basketball game of the season, football, field hockey, and the Fall Classic coming at you next.
Welcome to an excellent episode of Live from Studio B.
And now, your Citrus TV Sports Report.
We're just under 40 minutes away from a new season for Syracuse women's basketball. Welcome into sports. I'm Max Gifford. The Orange are coming off a season where they finished 24-8, and they also finished 13-5 in the ACC. That was by far one of their best seasons ever. But the Orange, after making the NCAA tournament last year, only returned 2 starters from this squad. So it begs the question, head coach Felicia Leggett-Jack, what do you make of this new fandangled Q squad?
We're still all filtering out roles, and up until this moment, we don't have an idea who we're going to start because everything is so different now. Everything is so new, and our young ladies got. This is like almost like a positionless team.
Well, Coach Jack, maybe that puts you in a position to succeed. The Orange were projected to finish 11th in the newly expanded Atlantic Coast Conference. By the way, the Orange finished tied for second last year and also received an AP vote. But that road to redemption begins tonight with an exhibition against the Damon University Wildcats. Tip-off is at 7. You can head over to the game, or hey, you can always catch the action by listening over on WJPZ. And let's stay on the hill for a little bit, because unless you've been living under a rock, you would know that Syracuse quarterback Cal McCord had a rough week at the office when he took on Pitt this last week. Yeah, the gunslinger had 5 interceptions, but was still given national recognition for his performance this week. McCord was named to the Davey O'Brien quarterback class of 2024. He was named one of 35 quarterbacks. That class will eventually be condensed down to 16 teams that a selection board votes on. And hey, if you want to get your voice heard, you can also vote on it on social media. So get the X, Twitter, whatever it is, get that trending for McCord to be a Davey O'Brien finalist to potentially be one of the nation's best quarterbacks for 2024. And we'll continue from the gridiron to the pitch. Syracuse field hockey had one heck of a weekend, getting their first top 10 win of this season against UConn, scoring 7 goals against Bucknell, but they still stayed at number 12 in the NFHCA rankings this week. Now, the Orange have stayed at that number 12 spot for 3 weeks this season, haven't cracked the top 10 yet, much despite last year when they were in that top 10 a lot, but they still have one more chance to jump into that top 10, with this being the last week of the regular season. The Orange play Boston College this Friday with first push at 4. And finally, I'm sure it's what's been on a lot of people's minds, the Fall Classic, the World Series, whatever you want to call it. We've got some footage behind us, and you might not recognize it. Well, that's because it's from 1963. And the reason 1963 is relevant is because it's the last time the Dodgers swept the Yankees in the World Series, because the Dodgers are up 3-0 in the Fall Classic right now, and the Yankees have to either make history or be history. Down 0-3 in the World Series, it's something a team has never come back from. And, well, the Dodgers came out on top, victorious in the Bronx last night. We're going to have to give you a look at those highlights, so Yankees fans, maybe shield your eyes, because a lot of these have Dodger blue in them. And it began with that. Freddie Freeman, 5 straight World Series games with home runs. That, my friends, is a record. And then Mookie Betts. I mean, this is just a murderer's row of a lineup when you got Shohei, you've got Mookie, you've got Freddie, you've even got Tommy Edman. Cardinals legend Tommy Edman scoring right here. He was the NLCS MVP. And they just continued to pour it on the Yankees all night. And you saw the Yankees did get out of a jam in the third. They had a chance to come back. But they've also been 4 for 20 in this series with runners in scoring position. They've also only scored 7 runs compared to the Dodgers. So not a lot of very optimistic stats. You saw the only 2 runs for the Yankees that night came after that 2-run blast by Alex Verdugo to salvage the shutout. But now tonight, New York looking to take 1. That's what manager Aaron Boone has said. They got to take 1, but the Dodgers but the Dodgers looking to take their 8th World Series in team history. Now, I talked about 1963 a little. Let's go back to that year because, well, the last time a team in 1963, the last time the Dodgers swept the Yankees in the World Series, well, look at some of those. John F. Kennedy was only the president for another month. No member of either team's coaching staff was alive. The highest salary was $105,000, just for a little reference. It's about $4.7 million right now. And hey, if you wanted a ticket, it's about $8. You can get it for about $4,000 nowadays. So, guys, I'll send it over to you. That's all for sports.
Well, Max, looking forward to Game 4 tonight, but we will be right back.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Well, that's all we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us on Live at 6 this Tuesday.
You can follow us on X and Instagram at CitrusTV News. Now for the entire CitrusTV News team, I'm Kaitlin Campbell.
And I'm Lauren Holdmeyer. Have a wonderful night, Syracuse.